Welcome back, chemistry fans. Today we are doing our second laboratory activity. And this one is very, very simple. There's no real chemistry involved. This could be in any scientific laboratory. This is just getting familiar with some of the pieces of equipment and their names, as well as maybe starting to become familiar with what their uses are. So here we go. I'm going to switch cameras and I will show you the pieces of equipment along with their names labeled on a card. If you are playing along at home, you would then take a screenshot of the final pictures and put them back together. If you are playing with this at school, well, you would be doing this. More in a collective pattern at your own pace. All right. The thing you can't see is this is a ring stand, and it is very long. And it connects to a base down here that's somewhat heavier. And so this is, again, our ring stand. And what it does is it allows you to connect several different pieces to it. So I don't know how I'm going to get this again backwards. Interesting. I wonder if I can invert my camera. Now it's correct. See, I'm smart. Okay, so I got my ring stand done. Good. Now this next one here is something that will connect to the ring stand, and it is called a burette clamp. And so it's this piece here, and it has this spring, and this spring is going to allow you to hold a burette, which I will show you here in just a second. But this attaches then to a ring stand by this screw here. It's going to hold it in position on the ring stand. And then we have the ring clamp or the ring stand, and we have the burette attached, the burette clamp held together. Well, this is your burette. And again, it's not conducive to seeing it on this camera. Maybe here's what I will do. I will switch the camera out. And what you can see then is, oh my goodness, it's as tall as my body is. And what it has is this spigot on it. And that spigot allows you to, or stopcock, it allows you to stop the flow of liquid that you would put into this burette. It is a container for liquid, and it has lines on it with which it allows you to measure very precise amounts of liquid. And it's stopped if it's sideways, and it's flowing if it's up and down. And it would attach then to the ring stand, to the burette clamp, so that you don't have to sit there and hold it while you are doing your laboratory procedure. So it would hold it there all together, the ring stand, burette clamp, all one pieces. So I will leave these over here. I will switch back my camera so that you can start to see some of those materials all together here. Now I've got a few other devices which you're going to become a little bit more familiar with over time. I have a stirring rod. I will put it right beside it here. Ring stand, I'll put you up here. Burette, I'll put you up here as well. The stirring rod. Let's see here. Beaker, something that you are quite familiar with. A beaker is just a glass container for measuring liquids inaccurately, mostly for transporting them. The stirring rod, obviously, is something that you would use for mixing chemicals together. How about, well, an evaporating dish? Well, an evaporating dish is just what that sounds like. It is a little container that you can utilize to get rid of small amounts of water over a heating system. Well, by the way, here was the burette label for, that's how you would spell that one. Now, here is something that, again, seems quite obvious, I believe. We've got a rubber stopper, and that rubber stopper is off the camera. It's black. Well, you can't even really see it. It is just a cork, but you would use it in conjunction with a glass device called a flask. So it's specific type of flask that we would want, it is called the Erlenmeyer flask. So let's get the Erlenmeyer flask out, and you can see how it will work in conjunction with the this is the Erlenmeyer flask, doop, and the rubber stopper fits into the mouth of this. This is a device so that you can swirl around liquids in it and they don't splash out. It has fewer lines than even a graduated, than a beaker. So it's probably not the most accurate device for measuring, but we do it best with that. Okay, next comes something that we would want to use for measuring, and that would be the graduated cylinder. And this is this multi-lined measuring device. And in this case, it's got plastic all over it, and it's called the graduated cylinder. Graduated cylinder. There we go. All right, so now we've got room for maybe one or two more on here before I ask you to take your image and move it away. Let's see if we can put in anything here. A scoop, maybe? Yeah, we can put in a scoop in front of this. So a scoop is just that. It is a metal device utilized for transporting solids, and it's called a scoop. Nothing special about a scoop. It is just what it's described as. It scoops things. And then let's see, I can put one more thing in here, which is very obvious to you. It's a funnel. So I don't think you'll be missing anything if I showed you that. It's called a funnel. So let's put the funnel up here, and then let's say to you, take a picture of what you got so that you have all of the images here. Screenshot this, and then we'll move to a second location for all of this device. Okay. So I'm going to put all these away now. Hopefully you have gotten your images of them. We can move on to the next set of pieces of equipment, and we'll identify them, tell you what they're used for, and you can then try your best to create an image of those as well. We don't have this big object in our way, so it'll be a little easier to place items out here. Okay, next. Crucible tongs. Well, it would be nice if we knew what a crucible was, but we'll start with the tongs first. Notice they have this elbow in them. That's so that you can hold the crucible, and the pinchers are for the lid. And you're saying, what lid? What's the material? Okay, this is your crucible and lid, and it is ceramic. It is very fragile, so you don't want to tap it and you don't want to drop it. It will break. And again, the tongs have pinchers on them so that you can capture that lid that has a little nub at the top. And then the elbow is such that you can turn it upside down and you can grab the crucible and transport it, because it gets really flipping hot. All right, so there's your crucible tongs, and I will label that one as soon as I find it. In the meantime, I will throw out here that this is a simple wash bottle, and it has a little spigot off of it as well that you can squirt, and you can try and wash out some devices if you were in need of doing that. Let's see. Let's go with the test tube. Easy enough. Long one, test tube. Everyone knows what a test tube is. Test tube is used for small reactions. It is used for samples so that you can observe it a little bit easier. Here's a small little device used to clamp a hose. It is called a screw clamp, and it is called that because it has a little screw that you can make the space smaller so that you could stop the flow of a gas. If we need to transport an inaccurate, we just need to wet a surface or get some amounts on it, we have something called a barrel pipette. And this barrel pipette is this plastic squirter. It's nothing special. It's just a little squirter. You suck up, you squirt it. And that's a barrel pipette. Not because it's shaped like a barrel, but because of someone's name. So that was your crucible sitting right there. I finally found the piece of paper missing for that one. All right. What do you do with a test tube? Well, you put it hopefully in a test tube rack. So that's what this guy is here, and it fits your test tubes if they were small enough. Mine is too big, but that's where they should have gone, is in the test tube rack. All right. So clearly I didn't plan that too well. All right. Get an image of that. And we will move then to our next series of pieces of equipment. So I will clear this off now. Hopefully you took the time to find a label for each one of those, take an image, screenshot, and we will move on to another set of equipment. All right, this is called a well plate. Speaking of reactions, this is how you can do several different reactions all at the same time. What if the material was not small enough? You need to grind it down, make it smaller. It's called a mortar and pestle. You can grind it down and make the particles smaller. Mortar, T-A-R, and pestle. So sometimes if we grind it too small, we need to filter it out, and that's what a filter paper is. We'll be using that frequently throughout the year, this year, to separate our liquids and our solids. Well, sometimes that crucible is too precarious. It needs to be in a different location, and we need to be able to secure it while we're heating it, and that's what this clay triangle is. A clay triangle can be suspended in the air, and it will hold your crucible. And so that's called a clay triangle for us. Well, what would you suspend it on? You would suspend it on something called an iron ring. So this is the iron ring with which the triangle would then be attached to the ring stand. So iron ring, clay triangles all go together with the ring stand. All right, sometimes also attaching to the ring stand is something called a utility clamp, and you could then hold a variety of devices inside this little clamp here, which you're having a difficult time because again, it's black on black. And so what we can do is we could pinch, say, a test tube, and we could hold it and heat it without it being danger to us. So here it is being held, and then we could attach this to the ring stand. Okay, so utility clamp. Well, what if we had just a very small amount of material? This would be something that we just want to observe, and it's a cylindrical piece of glass. It looks almost like a contact lens or a magnifying glass, and you could just put a sample on the surface here and heat it if you needed to, and that's called a watch glass, Okay, let's clear this table off, and let's go for the last bits of material that we want to show you. Hopefully you took a picture of that before I cleared it. If I said it too soon, reverse the video and you can find it, I'm certain. Okay, how are we going to get those materials all heated? We've got several times that I've mentioned heating a reaction. Well, you're going to do that with a Bunsen burner. You will eventually get to see what a real reaction is very soon, and we'll probably be using one of these. It'll produce the blue flames just like we had back at home. Something that we might need to set one of the beakers on is something called wire gauze. And if we're putting beakers on that wire gauze up on the ring stand, well, maybe we would need to get that hot beaker off of it. And so you would use something called a beaker tong. Those beaker tongs look very similar to the crucible tongs. So you're going to have to be able to distinguish them. You're saying, well, what did the crucible tongs look like? The crucible tongs had that elbow and a point to them. They had an elbow and a point. The beaker tongs do not. The beaker tongs just have the elbow, and they're usually coated with this silicone so that it's a non-slip surface. All right, test tube holder. Well, it's obvious. What do you do with that? You hold a test tube. So if you need to transport the hot test tube from one location to the next, you're going to use a test tube holder. You would squeeze together to make it release. Test tube holder. And then last, here is a spatula. A spatula is much like a scoop, except for it has this flat surface so you can do some scraping. And so this is called a spatula. Now, this one particular also has a scoop on the other side, but we will refer to this one as the spatula because of the scraping edge that it has. So just kind of like what you have back at the house in the kitchen. Okay, this is everything that I wish to share with you today about your laboratory equipment. Hopefully you at least got 3 images out of that. If you were in the classroom, you would have made them all 3 come together. We will talk about how you can access those images and upload them into your email and then into Canvas or into your Google Doc in class time. So thank you very much for your time. I will talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.